my name is Alison Gilbert. I am the team lead for the Inspired Living Group, brokered by eXp Realty. I've been the team lead for a year. I've been in real estate for about a dozen years. So I just started my team last year, and that's when we decided to go with CINC. I do have 3 people on my team. It's myself, 2 other agents, and my TC she also has a seat. We're located out of Estes, Colorado, which is the gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park. At the same time that I switched over to starting my own team, prior to that we were using another CRM. I don't think kvCore provided us with any leads, and I just thought, with starting our new team, we should really have some leads coming in. And then I was actually paying for Realty.com. So I think I was paying $600 a month for Realty.com. And over the year before, I got nothing from that, paying $600. And when you guys said, you use $500 for Google and Facebook, I was like, okay, so that's sort of even, and that felt like I could reduce my price. So, your price is $1,300, and I'm like, okay, I can take $500 off of that because I was paying that already. Right? So I got rid of that and I started using you, and I found a huge benefit not only for the lead gen that we get, but the back end of how we see people are looking at their property alerts. We get reminders of that. Anything that when they change their habits, we get an email or a text message. So that's been really helpful as well. Sometimes CINC will tell us, someone has logged in, they haven't logged in a couple of weeks, and they've logged in. So then I'll go take a look at them, and I'll see what my notes are, and I'll see what they're looking at, and it's a good opportunity for me to give them a call, right? The other thing is that we pull up our hot leads, like who has been looking at properties most recently, and have they been looking at properties, like I can see I called them 5 days ago, and 2 days ago they started looking at properties. So that's a good reason for me to give them a call. So, because sometimes it's like, I called them 5 days ago, but they haven't looked at properties in 10 days, right? So that's not a phone call. But when I see that they've looked at properties since I've been in touch with them, that just prompts me to give them a call. So, we follow up, and a lot of times, we're calling, 1, 2, 3, 4 different times before we even get in touch with them. These people, I called them up, spoke to them. They told me they were 6 to 8 months out, and so I put them on property alerts, and I think it was just by chance. They called me up, and he actually got a job up in Estes Park, and that changed their time frame. And then they were, okay, now we're really serious looking. So unlike most of our clients, I showed them one property, they bought it, and we were done. So I think between the time that I met with them, so I talked to them on the phone, between the time that I first met with them and they closed, it was probably 2 months. And interesting, the listing that we got, it came in, and I have it go round robin through my team, and the person who got it actually knew who they were. So, because we're in a small town, so she knew who they were, and she called them up and she got the listing. So it was easy to get that listing because of that, but that was a good lead as well, because you wouldn't have called them otherwise. We still have a lot of people who we are cultivating and working on, but I think we'll definitely get a lot more closings out of that. First starting, I think that Zachary he was our training and onboarding person. But he was amazing, and what I thought was interesting, he's like, you're really good, you always show up to these meetings. And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I show up to these meetings? And he's like, you won't believe how many people I set meetings for and they don't show up. Now, first thing is show up to your meetings. He was great. I mean, he just had so much information for me. And I'm like, I've done lots of different CRMs, so I know a lot. So I think it was easier to onboard me, but he was great. And now I have John, right? So Jonathan. And the best thing about that, it's all about accountability, you know? So he's going over my numbers and what he thinks that we can do better at. And then he starts adding different things. Like, you know, I met with him earlier in the week, and what he said to me was, you know, we're going to start this new marketing campaign for market reports for your buyers and sellers. Like what's going on in the town that they want to buy in or sell in. And I had never used that before. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. You know, so he set it up for me. And, you know, all I need to do is add new people. Like CINC people will automatically get that. But I can go back to all my other people and add them to that report. And then that's another reason to call them. Okay, did you get my market analysis? I like the drip campaigns. You know, they're easy to set up. You know, I have a couple of them set up, and it's, you know, it's email, text, call, but it has the, you know, the emails are already, you know, the emails and texts are, they're automatic. It's not like a reminder to send an email. It's like, it sends the email, it sends the text, it reminds me to call. So that I like. So I can, and what I do is I put a label on for that. Like I have like a revive campaign. So I'll put a label in, and it's a 45-day campaign. It'll tell me to call in the middle of the campaign. It'll tell me to call at the end of the campaign. So I don't need to remember to put them on proper, you know, on reminders. One thing we didn't talk about was the website. So you guys were great with that. It was like, because I was going to name my website the Inspired Living Group, and they're like, no, that's not what you should name it. You should name it something that people are going to be searching for, like find homes in Estes Park, you know? So they helped that. They helped with everything, getting our website up and running. They were great with that as well. So big part of it that we don't really talk about. To me, it's like the next level. So what I like about it is that, yes, you know, if I didn't have the integration, I would just need to add it to Sisu, right? Add my clients to Sisu. But the minute so I don't add all my clients to Sisu, I add them if I have a meeting or a showing, right? That's when I add there, and all I have to do is I have to do a preset label that Sisu says that you need to add in. So as soon as I add that label, they're ported over, and all of their information is ported over to Sisu. So I don't have to put in, you know, their address or, you know, their emails. All that information is just sent over. It's pretty cool, and it's like it's instant. You know, within a few seconds, it's over there. I think a lot of realtors, you know, like when I first got into business, you know, I always said, you know, my broker gave me buyers on a silver platter. You know, here's a buyer. And in this market, you don't get that anymore, right? So, and it's like, you need to work. You know, there's a lot of realtors in this town. Some of them make a great salary, and some of them are struggling. And I bet those struggling people are not making their phone calls, you know? And I don't like making phone calls, but, you know, it's like a lead comes in, and it's, you know, call, text, email. So that's what we try and do. You know, we don't do it all the time. But CINC helps us because we can see how many calls have we made, you know. And what I do like about it is it tells me how many emails that they're opening. So like I might have, you know, called them 10 times and sent them, you know, 5 emails and 3 texts or whatever, and I can see they're not opening texts or emails, you know, or maybe they're opening up their emails and they're, you know, so it gives me a little bit more insight about how to respond to them.